This episode of Taste of the Valley is brought to you by Saladino's, connecting family, friends, and food. Welcome to Taste of the Valley. Today's episode is all about barbecue, and it's going to be about Clovis barbecue today especially. We're over at Q & For You in Old Town Clovis, and we're going to be joining with Brent Walton, who's the owner of Q & For You, and getting some cooking tips. We're also going to be highlighting the Central California Rib Cook-Off that occurred a few months back in downtown Fresno. So join us. Today's all about barbecue. Today, we're at the Central California Rib Cook-Off in downtown Fresno. Right behind me, you can tell they're all the vendors, and we're gonna be able to sample some great tri-tip, great ribs, and all sorts of stuff you put on the barbecue. So hopefully we'll be able to talk to some judges and understand what is the science of judging great barbecue. So please join me as we explore barbecue in Fresno, California. With Paul Mackay, the owner and proprietor of Awesome Aussie, a barbecue establishment here in competition in Fresno. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here, Paul.
G'day, Andreas. How are you, mate?
Doing well, doing well. Now, where are you from originally?
Sydney, Australia.
So, what is your specialty here with Awesome Aussie?
Well, I think the biggest difference between the Australian ribs and maybe the American ribs is the fact that we use a fruit-based concept. So we'll have fruit woods, apple and cherry wood, which we actually smoke with,
Great.
And then we have fruit-based barbecue sauces. And they're traditionally Australian because apples were cheaper than tomatoes way back when they started making barbecue sauce. And that was the tradition, so that's how it was made, and that's how it's continued to be made. We have a rotisserie smoker, and we'll put them in there, we'll dry rub them, and then we use the cherry and apple wood to smoke them with. And they basically rotate around in that smoking chamber for about 4.5 to 5 hours. And then right here in the background, you'll see a finishing phase where we just add a little bit of sauce for caramelization. I like a little char flavor myself. And so we try and caramelize and seal the sauce and the moisture into the rib.
Excellent.
Kind of a natural barrier. We basically seal it up and put the flavor in there.
Now, 23 years on the circuit, you obviously have to be doing something right, and we see a bunch of trophies. How many trophies have you won?
We're up to about 360 trophies.
360.
In here in the US, Australia, and Canada. So we've been very fortunate, and some of our prize possessions are People's Choice Awards, where people come to the event and they get their say, which I think is amazing. You know, it is a democratic nation, right? And they get to have their say. Well, here they get to vote and vote who wins for ribs. So that to us is really important, because 4 or 5 guys in a back room make a decision on the critics' choice, but a mass of people get to decide on what's the best their choice for people's choice.
Well, listen, Paul, I wish you the absolute best of luck. Thanks, for you, mate. And Awesome Aussie, and thanks for being on Taste of the Valley.
No worries. All the best, mate.
So we're here at Judge's Table, and today we're joined with Joan Obra, who is the food critic of the Fresno Bee. Joan, thanks so much for joining us. And congratulations on being a judge. I'm sure you're having a great time so far.
I am. I probably ate a little too much this morning, but I'm holding my own. I'm okay for now.
Now, what have you judged so far?
Well, we have ribs in front of us here, and it's from 6 different contestants. So the idea is that we're supposed to rank them each by texture, taste, and tenderness. Me personally, I'm looking for a balance of flavors. If something, I've encountered one where the sauce was nice and thick, but it was too sweet. So by the time you're done eating 2/3 of a rib, you want to eat something else because it's just too cloying. So I was thinking if they had a little bit more of a vinegar flavor or a little bit more spice in that, then I could get through the entire rib and be perfectly happy and not feel like I needed to reach for my water to rinse my palate.
Do you ever find yourself judging category 6 and then all of a sudden going back to category number 2
Oh,
or
yeah.
box number 2.
Absolutely. I haven't gotten there yet because I'm just on 5, so I haven't even worked my way through. But this one I think is pretty clear to me. I don't know how everyone else is doing it, but I'm doing kind of ranking things 1 through 10. So I'll be able to add up my scores and get a clear sense of who's first, second, and third.
All right, well, clearly you're taking your responsibility seriously, and we appreciate that. No doubt the vendors out there appreciate the seriousness with which you're pursuing your judging venture. So wish you the best of luck. Next up, we'll be preparing beef brisket with Brent Walden of Queuin' For You Barbecue House in Clovis. We're here at the award-winning Queuin' For You in Old Town Clovis and joined by owner Brent Walden. It's a pleasure. Thanks so much for allowing us to come over and do some barbecuing.
Well, I always like to have my friends here, rain or shine, to barbecue.
We're looking at 4 gorgeous pieces of meat here. And what is this? This is brisket?
This is the brisket. It's the pork butts or pork shoulders, tri-tip, and the spare ribs.
All right, so in terms of anatomy, where's the brisket
The
from?
brisket's from the chest of the cow. It's the worst piece on the cow too.
Real tough?
It's very tough. If it's not cooked correctly, it's impossible to eat. You'd rather eat the hoofs.
Well, maybe before we get to the seasoning part, maybe we can sort of talk about what exactly is barbecue as opposed to grilling.
Barbecue is low and slow. When you talk about barbecue, it's low and slow. What we do in California is really grilling, which is like on the grill, 350
Direct
degrees
heat.
and higher, direct heat. Barbecue is always indirect heat, low and slow, smokes involved, woods are involved to bring out flavors. And what it is it's a way to cook these meats that aren't very good. They take a long time to break down all the collagens and do things to them. Like I said, this piece of meat is horrible. Cooked correctly, it's more tender than a filet.
Wow.
But otherwise, you undercook it just a little bit, you can't eat it. You overcook it a little bit, it falls apart. It's so dry, it's like eating sand. So it just has one window that it's good in.
All right, so we're looking at brisket right here. In terms of preparing this to put on the barbecue, what do you normally do?
Briskets don't take a whole lot. You can try to trim them and all that, but when you're cooking these things for 12 to 14 hours, this fat melts away. Okay, so I don't spend a lot of time doing any of that. The magic's in the barbecue rubs.
Now, is this your rub?
This is my rub, and this is really in barbecue they talk about rubs. This is the magic, or the Memphis barbecue, all rubs, no sauces. This is what they're talking about, is using these rubs. And I developed these rubs specifically for certain things, as I did on the barbecue circuit. You know, on the competitions, you want certain flavors you're trying to enhance, and really it's all about enhancing the meat, not covering the flavor.
What's in the rub?
The main ingredient usually, and what I suggest to people who want to make their own, salt and pepper is the main thing.
Good old-fashioned salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper is the base, and it's the best thing.
Now, do you rub both sides or only one?
I usually only do one, because I'm gonna put this in the smoker. It's gonna sit on this fat side, and this fat eventually comes off.
Well, let's
We're not
put
gonna
it
ever
in.
serve it, so let's get it ready
Now,
to go.
all right, but look at this behemoth. What are we looking at?
This is my mistress.
Does your wife know about her?
She does. Takes about 12 to 14 hours,
Wow.
and before it hits the window where it's just right. And it just has a few minutes in that window, so you've got to pull this when it's correct. This is a brisket after it cooks, and it looks like a meteor. This is the way it's supposed to look, too.
So it's not burnt.
No.
That's just
and a lot of
smoked.
people will re-season this. They'll take the rub and put it on here again, and then just eat it that way. This is the burnt ends. This is what people want. They want to just taste this. So I'm going to show you how this is. Now, I told you this would be the toughest piece of meat on a cow, by far. There's nothing like it. But when you cook it correctly,
Wow. Unbelievable. It's just falling apart.
yeah. So this is what's fat up here.
So, same is true with the brisket, the smoke ring.
Yeah. They look for the smoke rings.
So this is actually one of the choicer. You definitely want to have it on the outside, the crisp end of it.
Yeah, yeah, they want that's the burnt ends. And some people come in the restaurant, this is all they want. They just want this crispiness of the outside.
This is great.
Here, now try that with that. Now that's meant to enhance that. That's what the whole thing's about.
I'm getting evil looks. I can feel them from the crew over here. Eat your heart out, guys.
There's a lot of fat in the brisket, and we cut most of it out when we go to serve it, but I try to keep it on there as long as possible because it's nothing but flavor.
It's amazing that something that was always considered sort of the poor man's portion of the cow is turn into something as succulent as this?
That's how barbecue came about. It is the pork cut. It's the worst cut. On these ranchers and guys, they were going to give the cowboys out there working the good stuff, so they would throw them the worst piece of meat and say, here, this is yours. Here's the ribs. They're lousy. But they developed these ways to cook them, and now, you know, we've got these amazing foods that were developed by these people, and barbecue's out of the worst pieces of meat. That was the whole point of it.
Would you
and
say
how it
this
came
is?
about.
Would you say this is an American tradition?
This
'Cause I
is
think
American.
everybody cooks meat on the grill, but this is
American.
uniquely American.
Exactly. This is uniquely American.
After the break, we'll learn the secret to perfect spare ribs, so stick around. So right here we have the pork spare ribs, and when I cook this at home, I always find it difficult because there's that silver lining, and it's really tough. How do we get that off?
I'm going to show you.
All right.
Well, this pork spare rib, as you see it in the store, can be pretty much cooked as it is. There's some flat meat right in here, and I suggest you take that off because it just kind of gets in the way of the cooking process. So I always take that off, and then there's the brisket bone. This is right here.
And that's
where
what
they
connected
connect in the spare ribs.
to the large brisket that's cooking right now.
And the bacon is what sits on top of this. You've heard of pork bellies?
Yes.
Okay, it sits right on top of this, so you know this is good stuff underneath. So this is what this is. That's why these are so much better than baby backs. Baby backs are more for people that don't know how to cook spare ribs. Training
So are you
ribs.
saying that?
Yes, I am saying that. Yeah, baby backs
Now
are
you
for
just get
beginners.
right, you just get right in there.
Yeah, this is the rib tip, and I take some of that off just to square up the rib for looks. At the restaurant, I leave a lot of this on. But for this demonstration, so you can see how this works, we're down to that skin, and you can see how shiny it is. I come into about the third bone, get my thumb under there and pull it up, and then I get some paper towel and get underneath it.
So you just peel it right off.
Yeah, it pulls, see? And watch how the meat,
Wow.
how it relaxes as you pull it. You can just kind of see the meat come apart and relax. So there you go. There's a secret. Now don't tell anybody about this because if everybody's doing it, your rib's not going to be any better than the guy next door.
I didn't know if you realized that you're on television.
Oh.
So, but this is what kind of cut again?
This is a spare rib.
No,
and
no,
this
the,
is done in the style of the St. Louis
St.
style.
Louis style, and
Yeah.
it's more for appearance, or is there a cooking
Well-
reason for this?
Both. Appearance-wise, it looks good. It looks like a baby back, but it's not. They're flat. These are always pretty flat. But cooking-wise, they cook them down because they'll cook a little faster than having the whole rib. But I suggest when you buy these ribs, you eat it all. So I cook them for me.
Just cook them.
I use everything. Yeah.
And all right, so we're just going to go ahead and season both of these.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you put the seasoning on the flesh side or on the bone side?
I put it on the meat side, and I don't worry about the other side. You can put it on both sides. It's not going to hurt. For competitions, I don't put it on that side because of looks. So I want a certain look, and so I keep those back sides really clean, and I shine them up with sauces and things. But basically, this is it. It's a beautiful thing. And I'll let you rub these in again.
All right.
But you use these rubs are pretty liberal, and I suggest people make their own. It's a lot of fun to kind of come up with these things and use flavors and things you like. It's not a good idea to have 35 different spices in here,
But I mean, there's no orthodox way of doing this.
There really is not.
I mean, you kind of everyone can create their own.
correct. And I encourage it. I mean, that's the magic of barbecue. You know, everybody can create their own and should. It's a lot of fun, and it's unique flavor. If you like garlic, use more garlic. The only thing I suggest with ribs and these long meats is if you like herb flavors, you know, oreganos and things like that are herbs, is to put those on later in the cook
Because they burn?
They just burn at the beginning.
Okay.
When they're in too long. When you're doing low and slow, they're in here for like 4 hours, 5 hours.
That's
But if
why
you put them
people-
on towards the end, they release the oils, they're perfect.
That's why people don't put barbecue sauce at the beginning.
That's right. So
Because it just
caramelizes
flares.
and bare. Yeah. So we're gonna put these in right here.
All right. Now, obviously, this is a lot less meat than the brisket. How long are the ribs going to cook for?
The ribs will cook about 3.5 to 4 hours like this.
So we've been waiting patiently, Brent, for all the stuff that's been in the barbecue, and now we're getting ready for the fun stuff. So what are we pulling out right now?
So what I want to do is get the ribs out, have you taste them now, Memphis style, just the
Memphis
rub,
style.
nothing else. And then we'll add the sauce onto them, and then we'll get to the briskets and pork.
Let's do it.
Open that up for me.
Wow.
There's your pork spare rib. Now it's going to have, this is what you would call Memphis style. It's no rub or anything put on it. I actually like to cut it from this side because I can see better.
Sure.
Part of getting old, you can't see no more.
Man, look at that, it's coming right out.
This might be too juicy.
Too juicy.
You want to try?
There's no such thing as too wow, that's hot. That is really hot, but oh, I got to try it.
Just have a little bit there. What do you think?
Good. Yeah. I'm supposed to be composed and everything for television, but what a real deal.
Now, this is the one place where you don't have to stay that way.
Stay tuned. We'll hear from some customers right after the break. For sponsorship opportunities, please visit tasteofthevalley.tv. Well, we're in the belly of Queuing for You, back with Brent, and we are making the notorious, infamous Queuing for You barbecue sauce.
It is.
All right, how do you make it?
Well, I can't tell you everything,
All right.
so I'm going to give you the generic version. So they start with ketchup.
Starting with ketchup.
Probably the most universal ingredient. Brown sugar, it's a half cup. Honey. Barbecue sauces need lots of sweetness. Plain white vinegar.
Plain white vinegar.
And then the Worcestershire sauce. And then I like to add a little butter. It gives it a nice creamy richness. Mouthfeel is really good. So I put in like a quarter of a stick. Sounds like a lot, but the important thing in making your own barbecue sauce, it's got to be cooked. I don't bring it all the way up to a boil. I want it to about 170 degrees. Just want to make sure any bacteria or anything like that can be killed in there. But that's it, and that will be the magic touch. Now, the things you do to this extra, fruit juices are a good item to put in. Just about anything you like. Different spices, you can put garlic in there, whatever you like, and however flavor trend you want.
That's
Any of that stuff, that's where you really want to take it and flavor it and make it your own.
Well, we're here with the Martinez family, Roy, Lynn, Alex, and Destiny over at Queuing for You. Now, what did everyone get? What did you get, Lynn?
I have the chicken Caesar salad.
Chicken Caesar salad. And Destiny, what did you get?
Chicken and fries.
Chicken and fries. And Alexander, what did you get? It looks like macaroni and cheese, doesn't it, Roy? And pulled pork. How about you, Roy?
Brisket sandwich.
Oh, it looks fantastic. But I got to ask, what is this in the center? It's called pig candy? What is pig candy?
It's Little Smokies wrapped in bacon with maple and brown sugar, I believe.
That just sounds illegal.
It's very good.
We've got to try one of those.
Yes.
How about you, Destiny? You want to try the pig candy? It's good, isn't it? It's got brown sugar. It's good. I mean, you never think bacon and hot dog. Good stuff. So now the Martinez family comes here quite a bit, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And are you Clovis residents?
Yes,
But I mean, Queuing for You is known throughout the area as having some great barbecue.
it does. It is the best. That's why we come.
And you always get the chicken Caesar, or
I get the chicken Caesar a lot, but I really like the hot sandy. I really like the burgers. Very good.
What do you like to get also?
The hot sandy also, it's like turkey on a Texas sized toast.
Uh-huh.
And the burgers are really good.
And I mean, it's obviously a family-oriented place.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You bring Destiny and Alexander over, so well, listen, enjoy, and I'm gonna come back later for one of those pig candies.
We'll
Don't
say
eat them
so.
all, Destiny. All right. So I'm gonna be joining the Navoni family. How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's Janie,
Janie.
Andreas,
Nice to meet
and
you.
Joe.
Joe.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
What do we get today?
The Texas Tommy.
Texas Tommy.
Yep. A hot dog,
wrapped in bacon, stuffed with jalapeno and cheese, and deep fried.
I'm sorry, you rewind. It's a hot dog
Correct.
stuffed with peppers and cheese, wrapped in bacon and,
Then deep fried. Yes. That's the most outrageous hot dog there is.
And we have some interesting looking. Those aren't regular French fries.
No, those
What
are sweet potato French fries.
sweet potato French fries. Nice. And Jenny, what do we have over here?
We have the hot sandy. It's turkey on sourdough with 3 cheeses, bacon, tomato, and basil on top.
It looks good.
Oh, it's delicious and the best potato salad in the valley. You cannot find better potato salad.
So would you say that you're regulars at Q and For You?
Yes, we are, and have been for the last 2 years.
Well, now this place opened up about 2 years ago, was it? And just looking around, I mean, this screams barbecue joint. Well, apparently this used to be a pizza parlor, and then a Chinese restaurant.
That's right. It's
then
several different things.
Then a roadhouse.
Right.
But it finally found itself.
That's
this is
right.
definitely a
This
barbecue
is definitely
joint.
barbecue.
Wow. Well, enjoy, and no doubt the stuff looks good.
Oh, it's delicious.
All right. Well, Brent, that was mighty tasty.
I appreciate
Today has
having me.
been fantastic. We were able to make brisket, pork shoulder, tri-tip, ribs, and got to taste all of it.
You finally got to taste real barbecue.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. What would you like our viewers to know about Q and For You?
Well, what I'd like them to know is that we are really making real barbecue here. We're the real deal, and we're unique. It's not like a normal restaurant here. We make everything by hand. We do it with passion like nobody else, and I want them to come try us. They'll see.
Well, there you have it, folks. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Taste of the Valley. And remember, every dish has its story. Until next time. This episode of Taste of the Valley is brought to you by Saladino's, connecting family, friends, and food.